y'all. It's season 3 of the Be Your Own Kind podcast, and we humbly thank you for tuning in. Be Your Own Kind's mantra is there is never an inopportune time to be yourself. In other words, be you without apologies. In this season, I will be presenting nuggets and interviewing individuals that are creating their lane and rocking it. Be sure to check out the featured businesses in the description box and follow us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and pretty much every platform. Okay, now let's take flight. Well, hello. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's an honor to be on your podcast show to share a positive story of the 19th child out of 21 children.
Wow. When I think of the 19th child out of 21 children, I'm like, how many rooms did you guys have in one residence?
I tell you what, we had a big home. I can inform you that we had a real big home. My mother was a great woman. She birthed 21 children by my father. So it was a lot of sex going on. If you remember the song, turn off the lights, hey, and light a candle. So, hey, my father worked 2 jobs. After 2 jobs, I guess when the lights went off, that's when they started getting it on.
How do you have that much energy after 2 jobs? Did your mom work?
My mom worked a part-time job.
Okay.
She worked a part-time job before she started a homeless shelter in 1970. She started a homeless shelter in 1970 when I was basically 3 months in her stomach.
Oh,
and
wow.
So she started it, and it lasts for about a good 45 years before she called it quits. So Love and Charity Homeless Shelter was a great place in the city of Racine, Wisconsin. She was able to look out for the downtrodden and people that were less fortunate. She was able to give them food, clothes, and also provide shelter for the homeless men and women in that community.
That is so dope. That is so nice. So why did she call it quits?
But she got old. She got old, and she couldn't do it, and her cognitive skills started to deteriorate. And so as you get older, you're not the same when you were young. So your memory starts to decay, and that's what happened to my mother.
Okay. So you mentioned that that the charity was somewhat of a distraction from you because she seemed to have, I guess I'm alluding to, she spent more time trying to build that, which kind of took away from attention from you guys.
Most definitely. She was more focused on the homeless shelter than building a relationship with her children. So
Okay.
It was a dysfunctional place because even though my mother did good work, I have to say that she did more harm than good. You follow me?
Yeah.
Because the harm was on her children because she didn't give us adequate time, intimate time with her. And so it was like she kind of abandoned us, and she shifted the responsibilities to my older siblings. And a lot of my older siblings were very angry and upset, and because they did not have that opportunity as young teenagers, to go to prom, to go to school activities, especially basketball games, football games. They never had that opportunity because they had to stay home with the young children. And so a lot of my siblings, as they got older and became adults, they kind of they broke away from my mother, and a lot of them didn't want to have anything to do with my mother because they wanted their own life. They wanted to experience going out with friends and relatives and having a good time. So it was some functional moments at Love and Charity, but it was also some dysfunctional moments as well. And a lot of the men and the women that came through there, it was like a gas station. You come to get filled up and you move on. And a lot of them, they saw the dysfunction. They saw my mom putting them down and putting us down. That's the reason why I stated in my book, my mom was never perfect. She was never perfect. My father was never perfect. My father died when I was 8 years old, but it was hard on us and we had to move on. But my mother became the commander-in-chief, and she did what she thought was the best parenting skills. So you got to look at my mom's history. My mom was born in 1934. So she was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi. She saw the KKK raped and murder her cousin. She saw the KKK murder her other cousin in Metchi. So those tragedies, adversities can really shape a child's life at the age of 8 and 9 and 10 years old. So I think those tragedies and running from the KKK and trying to live back then, it was very difficult for my mom, for her siblings as well, because you never know when are you going to return home. So I think that really shaped my mom's mindset as well as my aunties and uncles' mindset. It really did shape them. And it's like it's abnormal to see these tragedies at a young age, because you don't know how it's going to shape your mindset. And I think that it really did shape her mindset about people. And I think my mom really didn't have any feelings toward people, because she didn't show us any love whatsoever. And I think that she used love and charity as an escape mechanism, to try to find love and happiness by giving and helping others. But what she ended up doing was abandoning her responsibility as a parent.
So how does that affect you as a parent yourself? Because you are a father, correct?
Yes, I am a father. I have 4 children. I have 2 daughters and 2 sons, and I have 1 granddaughter, which is she is 2 years old. I think that as a parent and looking at my older siblings, it did not affect me at all, because my parenting skill set came from my siblings. You understand? Because my siblings watched out for us. And so my relationship with my children is better than the relationship that I had with my mother. That's the difference. I was very loving and caring, and I did homework with my children. I taught my children how to read. I told my children that I'm gonna turn their weaknesses into their strength. I was able to coach my children in basketball and baseball and football, and I was able to, guide them and give them structure and discipline and guidance. And so I was never a friend to my children. I was a father to my children. And one of the things that I noticed with all of my siblings, my mother never gave us hugs, or never was affectionate toward us, or say that I love you. So when it came to my siblings and also myself having children, we were able to, love on our children, tell them that we love them, give them hugs, give them kisses. So it was totally different when it came to my mom and my father. I only had 8 years with my father, but my father, I know, was very loving. Every time when he got home, he would always give us a hug and give us a kiss. My mother was the totally opposite. And that's why I refer back to what happened in her childhood really affected her. So you really can't judge her, because it's the It's the way she was brought up. It's just the way she was brought up and what had happened, in her life.
And I like that you said that, because as a child, our parents are like superheroes. We have these expectations for them. But when you grow older as an adult, you realize, like, man, you can almost empathize with your parents when you become an adult, because you're like, oh man, they were trying to do this and take care of me simultaneously with whatever informational experience that they had in their past life, Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that you gave your mother grace and you understood, kind of why she wasn't as affectionate as you would have probably wished her to be.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that I want to say, you're absolutely right. No matter what had happened in the family, in the Hunter family, we all look at our parents as superheroes. My mother used to always say, she said, when I die, you guys going to be surprised. She used to always say, you guys going to be surprised when I die, because you're going to be at my funeral and you're going to be looking at that casket and I'm going to get up and rise. And I remember this woman had said that to my mom at the homeless shelter, Miss Hunter, if you get up and rise from that casket, I'm going to run like hell. And when my mom passed away on February 29th, 2020, I went to the funeral, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about the conversation that my mom and I and this woman had at the homeless shelter. And I'm saying in my head, get up and rise. You understand? Mm-hmm. I'm saying it in my head, get up and rise. You said you were going to do it. I believe you can do it. So we do look at our parents as superheroes. And I looked at her as a superhero in that casket.
Wow. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know part of your story is there are some triumphs, because you are the first college graduate out of all of your siblings, correct?
Yes, I am. I graduated from Upper Iowa University in 2012. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. It was an exciting day. I made history in the Hunter family. I laid the foundation in the Hunter family. And looking back on it, I can say that now, as of today, a lot of my nieces and nephews went to college and graduated, all because I laid the foundation that education is important. And not only did I do it for me, but I had to do it for people in our society that don't have hope, that don't have the courage, to say, I want to go to college and become a college graduate, to become a teacher, to become a lawyer, to become a doctor, to become an educator. And we have a lot of children in the inner city need to hear my story to give them hope. You know what? Paul Hunter, mother, birthed 21 children. They lived in poverty. They never complained. He never made any excuses. He did what he's supposed to do, and now he's a college graduate. And if he can do it, I can do it. So it's an honor to lay the foundation, and it's an honor to go to the Boys and Girls Club, big brothers and sisters, and share my story with at-risk students, because I was considered at risk. I was considered to go to jail. I was considered to become a drug dealer. I was considered to be an inmate, but none of that never happened. None of that never happened. I always look at what my siblings had did, because some of my siblings went to jail and went to prison, and I always learned from their failures and mistakes. And even if I did had a failure in a mistake or a setback, I always use that as an opportunity for a comeback.
I love that. Somebody I interviewed maybe a year ago She said something to that effect of people that are older than you have the cheat sheet. You know, instead of us bumping our head, why don't we pay attention to those, ahead of us, or what people are like, our elders are telling us, because they live life. So they have the cheat sheet of what to do and what not to do. So I feel like that's the approach that you took, in your life. And not only did you do that, you created a legacy. Like you broke a generational curse, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It was a generational curse. And believe me, I always tell people this, that the end is better than the beginning. Anytime when you start something off in life, it is difficult to get started. But the end results is always better than the beginning.
Yes. It's just getting through that middle, man.
But you know what? How you get through the middle is when you reflect back at the beginning and you say, I'm in the middle. Now you looking back, reflecting back, and you saw how hard it was, how difficult it was getting started, but you're in the middle. Now you can move forward. And that's what I was able to do. I was able to, getting started. Yeah, it's difficult. Just imagine coming from the inner city. You walking into an institution, a black man walking into an institution. And the only thing that I said in my mind, walking into Upper Iowa University, there's only one direction I can go, and that's up.
So my question is, because you didn't have any earlier influences to go forth with your educational career, what prompted you or prompt your interest in getting an education?
What prompted me is that studying my family lineage and just discovering that no one on my mom's side or my dad's side graduated college. So once I had learned that, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be the first. I am going to be the first. And so, I became the first. I really became the first to graduate college. And so what I want to do in 2021 and 2022, I want to start a celebration tour where I go around to the inner city and I share my personal story of success, going to some of the baddest neighborhoods and, networking with people, different organizations, and speaking to the youth and to the kids about the importance of education, about the importance of never giving up. You look at my story today, 21 children my mom birthed, yeah, that's a lot of sex. But if you break it down, she stayed pregnant for 15 years and 9 months. And they say, I did the research, they say that it really doesn't take 6 weeks for a woman's body to recover. The research says that it takes, when one woman has one baby, it takes 18 months for her body to recover. So my mother never did have time to recover, because after 6 weeks, it was on again.
I see. Now, are there twins and triplets in this phone?
There was one set of twins, and that's it. One set of twins.
Because I assumed it was triplets, that's 20 births.
Yes, one set of twins. Like I said, there's 17 of us living. There's 63 grandchildren, and there's 87 great-grandchildren. And that legacy is continuing to grow and grow and grow. It's like my mother and father, they planted the seed. Now the seed turned into a tree, and now the branches, we're branching out. And that's all we're doing is branching out. From generation to generation, we just continue to branch out. But we also continue, when we're branching out, we also loving on each other. We also caring for each other. We also praying for each other.
So you guys are all tight knit then?
Yes, we are.
That's awesome, because you hear small families can't get along. So that is amazing that like you guys are still like holding it together and, you know, loving on each other, like you said, because family is really important, you know. So do you guys have like family reunions, like annual family reunions? And if you do, where do you hold them at?
We hold our family reunion in Racine, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Since COVID, we haven't had a family reunion. So hopefully, once COVID is over with, we'll be back having family reunions again.
Okay. How have you guys coped and communicated during the pandemic? Being able to see each other.
Oh, we FaceTime each other. That's what we do. We talk to each other on the telephone. Yeah.
Okay, just that simple. Because I know some people need that contact, you know, that person-to-person contact.
No, yes, and I'm one of those, people that need that face-to-face contact. That's why I have an iPhone, and most of my siblings have iPhone, and I will FaceTime them. You know, it was interesting because it was last week, and I sent out a message to all my siblings and all my friends to let them know that they played a significant role in my success, big and small. And I wanted them to know that I am grateful to have them a part of my life.
That is awesome. Okay, back to the siblings. Just one more question. So are you guys stair steps, or are you guys years in between? Like, I'm just wondering, how long was your mom pregnant?
Oh, she was, like I said, 15 years and 9 months. If you look at Michael Jordan won six NBA titles.
Okay.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 6 NBA titles. So my mom won 15 titles. Well, you can say 21 titles because she birthed 21 children.
Back to back.
Yeah. She birthed 21 children. So it's a blessing to see a woman of her status and her background and what she's been through to birth 21 children. It takes a lot. It really does. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of faith to give birth to all of those children. The toll that it takes on you mentally, because learning psychology, they say that when a woman gives birth, that's the closest they will experience to death. That's what it says. So that's very, 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 very interesting. So
Mm-hmm. And it's then when your dad passed away, that was all on her shoulders. So, you know, what a even more stronger pillar of strength, you know, of a person she was. But I did see in one of your previous interviews that you said that the village of Racine actually helped out. You know,
most definitely.
Yeah.
There were times where, we did not have any toys, and I remember this clearly. It was people knocking on the door, and they would literally run to their car. They would leave a Christmas tree on our porch. They would leave toys, food, anything that they had, clothes, you know, hand-me-downs, you understand? You know, turkeys, you know, on the porch, because they knew the Hunter family. See, the difference is that we grew up in a community where we were close, where we knew each other. Mrs. Smith saw you doing something, she had that permission to whoop your butt. And then when your parents got home, Mrs. Smith informed them what had happened and how she disciplined you. And you got it from your parents. You can't do that today. Our community back then was special. It was close. It wasn't no drugs and a lot of homelessness. It wasn't like that like it is today. We have a lost generation today. They so busy on their cell phone, they're so busy playing video games, and they lack interpersonal communication skills. They really do.
You're right. I go to a restaurant and everyone's head is down, like everyone's neck looking at the phone. And I'm like, you could have stayed at home for that. We all finna sit at the table and look at our phone. So yeah, I do agree with that. And I do hear some adults saying they're even afraid to correct the child, less known have a community like you experience, because children can't really be corrected now. They're afraid if they're going to be shot, or like it's like the adults are kind of afraid to reach out to the youth in this time, which is pretty sad.
Yes, but I'm going to do my due diligence, and I'm going to really be out here in the community, knocking on doors, talking to the inner city kids, making a name for myself, and letting them know that your purpose is bigger than your circumstances. And a lot of time, we come from the inner city and we always magnify our circumstances. We magnify our problems. And when we do that, that's when depression, anxiety sits in. But why don't we magnify our purpose? See what I'm saying? And then that's how we're gonna get that positive energy coming in, because we are magnifying our purpose, and we letting people know that our purpose is bigger than our circumstances. Our purpose is bigger than our problems.
I love that. And we need more people like you, people that's not afraid to reach out, or people that don't just watch the youth just fall by the wayside, because it really just takes one person to reach out to someone. It just takes one person to believe, in you, to ignite, your purpose, or bring or help get you to your purpose. So people like you, we need more like that. So I love, what you stand for. You're also an author. You wear many hats.
Yes. I am the author of the book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. The book chronicles my life from the beginning all the way up until graduation. My book is a parenting book. It's a book that will give kids hope. It's a book that will inspire people to take their game academically to the next level. I talk about my parenting skills. I talk about the relationship with my children. I talk about the relationship with my mother. I talk about the relationship with the mother of my children. And I also point out some of my faults and some of my insecurities in the book, because I wanted people to identify who I am as a person. I'm just a typical normal person. And I had to straighten out some things in my life to become a better man, to become a better father. And I laid everything out because I want people to heal. And that's what it did for me. It healed me as a person. It was cathartic for me. It really freed me. It made me who I am today. So the book right now has been adapted into a screenplay, also Tail Flick Production. They did the page pitch, and right now it's being pitched to movie producers and studios in Los Angeles, California. And so anything can happen at this moment. I'm just excited that we were able to work together and get some things accomplished with Tail Flick.
Wow, that's super dope. But where can readers, people that are interested in reading your book, where can they find your book?
They can go to my website, paullamarhunter.com. Also, my book is available on Barnes & Noble's website, amazon.com. Let me say this, my book is totally different from my mom's book. My mother also has a book. The name of her book is Love and Charity, the life story of Louise Hunter in the Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. That's the name of my mother's book. It was written by Dr. Dennis James Woods. So the name of my mom's book again is Love and Charity, the life story of Louise Hunter in the Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. And it was written by Dennis James Woods. And that book right there is also amazing as well. So I think that people should go out and get both books, different perspectives, different writers.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how that would be interesting, because you get to hear about, your mom's life than your interpretation of whatever affected her, how that affected you, and how you had to heal from that, and how you, kind of catapulted, your career and, your writing career, your speaking career, because you're a speaker as well, correct?
Yes, yes, I am. That's why I indicated earlier that I like to spend a lot of time at the Boys and Girls Club and Big Brothers and Sisters. Last time I spoke was 2019. I was over in Hawaii and I spoke at the Boys and Girls Club over there. It was over like 300-400 people that came out, and it was fun. And I was able to relate to them, and they were able to relate to me. And speaking with the young men and young girls, you find out that a lot of them are not at home with the parents. They wish they can be at home with their mother and dad, but mother and dad have drug issues, mental issues, and they're being raised by their grandparents. And, you see that a lot today, different generation, they're being raised by their grandparents. And thank God for strong grandparents that is really out there making it happen for their grandchildren, because they want a better life for their grandchildren. So, I get a lot of respect to a lot of grandparents that's, raising their own grandchildren, because they already raised their children. They should be somewhere enjoying life.
Right. Yeah, that is true. Here at BYOK, we do have a staple question for all of our guests. So the question is, if you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be and why?
Determined. All my life, since I came into this world and started to think and develop, I've always been determined to strive for excellence. When people would tell me you couldn't do it, I would be determined and say, I can do it. Well, that's the word that describes me, determined.
I love that, because I think perseverance it springs from that determination to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that, how no matter what came against you, you lost your brother when you were young, your dad, then your mom, had her things, and then she had the charity and things like that, but you pushed through. And not only did you push through to fulfill your dreams, you left a legacy for your family, all while healing, which is important, because you can't really the most successful person, I don't think, can find joy if they're still not healed from past hurts or whatever triggers them or whatever. And I feel like that is, to me, I don't know, like real success is when you can live your best life and be happy. Like, I don't measure happiness on money. I'm always measured it on happiness and peacefulness and things of that sort. And I just feel like you're such a successful person, just looking, like, from my perspective of how you just push through, and how not only do you want to keep that information to yourself, you want to branch out and help other people heal and other people reach their goals. And I think that's amazing. That's outstanding.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, besides the upcoming movie that I am excited in the future to see, any upcoming projects besides, I know you say you want to start a tour, anything else besides that?
Well, right now, waiting on calls from the Nick Cannon show, the Drew Barrymore show, Drew Barrymore show, and a couple other talk shows as well. So I'm looking to finish up negotiation on a couple other talk shows and bring my story back to the national television networks as well. So, I thank, Dr. Phil, because he created a show called Face the Truth with Vivica A. Fox. They gave me an opportunity to come on their platform and really shine. And also Fox and Friends, the Tom Joyner Show. There's so many people, the Morning Blend, Ebony Magazine, they did my story twice. Another magazine that gave me the front cover of their international magazine was Breakaway Daily Magazine. They featured me on the front cover of their magazine, and I really appreciate them for giving me the front cover of their magazine.
Wow, your story's everywhere.
Yes. It's an international story.
I love it. So before we, sign off, I just want to ask, what advice would you give to our listeners that's just in limbo, like we talked about earlier, in the middle, and they're kind of like on the edge of giving up? What advice would you give someone in that instance?
The best advice that I can give is that we all have been down. We all have struggled. The most important thing that you need to do is to surround yourself with positive men and women that will lift you up, that will encourage you, that will inspire you, that will tell you, never give up, never give up. If the 19th child came from adversity, almost experienced death, went against the odds, can do it. You can do it. Never give up. Keep the faith and never give up.
I love that. And I hope you all were all encouraged during this episode with Paul Lamar Hunter. As you heard, you can hear this story everywhere. You can actually read the story. So make sure that you purchase that book to be inspired, and his mom book to be inspired as well. Thank you so much for being on the platform. You've actually inspired me. So thank you for your words of encouragement, and thank you for sharing your testimony with me today.
Hey, thank you for having me on as a guest. I really appreciate it. For the audience, please go to my website, paullamarhunter.com. I am available for book signings and also speaking engagements. So please go to my website, paullamarhunter.com.
Okay. Are you on any social media sites?
I'm on all social media sites. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram.
Okay. And your name, is it Paul Lamar Hunter all the way through?
Yep, Paul Lamar Hunter.
Okay.
You can find me.
Okay, cool beans. Well, thank you again for being on our show, and to everyone listening, thank you for listening to this episode. And don't forget to be kind to yourself and kind to each other. Bye.